All right. How are you doing? I'm here. I am True Crime Jules. It's new. I used to be Jules of Thought. Now I'm not. All right. So I am Jules of Thought, and this is my channel, Allegedly Innocent. And yes, it is true. I'm a licensed psychologist in real life. That is my training and my profession and what I actually do every day, most of the day. But I don't play a psychologist on YouTube. I guess you could say that YouTube is my hobby. So I really enjoy stupid human tricks and discussing mysteries and sensational crimes and always trials. So, hey, Team Doocy Doo 222, you are the winner today. Hi, Daisy Jones. Good to see you. Hey, Diane. Good to see you. Kathy R, Stuffed Banana, Hoppy. I hope you're all doing really well. Well, so today is Wild Speculation Friday. And so I was preparing for, our speculative discussions that very often get us in trouble. But then we had, an unexpected press conference. And so I feel obligated to cover the press conference. And so let me get it up here. So the press conference is very interesting. I don't know how many of you saw it, but it is Asa Ellerup Heuermann, Rex Heuermann's wife. Well, until the divorce is final, she has in fact filed for divorce. It's a strange press conference. I thought it was strange. And this is sort of my case right now. I'm spending all my time, I've kind of put the Koberger case on the back burner until we get some more factual information. And so I've really been the Shannon Gilbert case has really been really front and center for me. I recognize there are a lot of people that do not believe that Shannon Gilbert's case is related to Rex Heuermann, other than it was her disappearance. Her mother, Mari, really pushed hard at Suffolk County. And so in searching for Shannon Gilbert, they began to uncover the bodies, 11 so far, perhaps more, in the Gilgo, Jones Beach area of Long Island. And they have not said that Shannon Gilbert is connected to Rex Heuermann, who has been arrested for the murders of what they call the Gilgo Four. He's been charged with 3 murders, 1 murder. He has been named as the prime suspect, but they have not charged him yet. So all that being said, the story is that, Mom Heuermann, Asa, that she had no idea what Rex Heuermann was up to. And the cops seem to be very confident that he is their man. Now, his attorney said he was crying. I don't think I believe that. But the attorney said that he was crying, he was upset, and he was saying, I did not do this is wrong. And in the meantime, the Heuermann family, the mother and the 2 adult children, they've sort of been left in the lurch. It did not take less than 2 weeks, I believe. Don't hold me to that, but I think it was less than 2 weeks that she was filing for divorce. And that is a very unusual time frame. I do think that often in these cases of extraordinary murder, serial killers, I do think that divorce is an expected, event. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody go, oh, well, he's arrested, got to get that divorce. What do y'all think of that? I'm going to tell you what I think of it. I think she was miserable, and perhaps he was very controlling. And the very minute he was in jail, she saw her opportunity to get away from him. That's the one hand. The other possibility that I see is not that she was involved, not that she knew what was going on. That is unlikely. I mean, there have been some weird cases where there were two people that were involved, like couples, Bonnie and Clyde kind of, mentality. Not like this. This is she's much older, female. No, I don't think so. But here's what might have happened. It's possible. What might have happened is that obviously most people think he was probably an abusive ass in his relationship with his family. His father is known to have been an abusive guy. I reported on that in my last video. We talked quite a bit about people that have known this family since elementary school. And the school and the teachers, his dad was known for being very harsh physically and emotionally, very disapproving of Rex. And so, we tend to repeat the sins of the father, right? And so I think what a possibility is that he was up to no good. He was doing these bizarre and had these odd sexual type fantasies and appetites, and that she knew there was something off, that she could, maybe she found things that made her uncomfortable. Maybe she was fearful that he seemed to do things that were very strange. There's no question that this house, this family adopted this outer facade that said, stay away. We are not friendly. We do not want any part of this neighborhood or you people. Go away. Don't approach our door. Don't approach our countenance. Don't greet me with good morning, Rex. How the hell are you doing, man? Leave us alone. So you get a bit worried about what are they hiding when people begin putting up these barriers, or what are they protecting is maybe a more accurate way of stating that. So I don't blame her, since her hair was found on victims, but she was out of town at the time, so I don't think she had anything to do with it. Yeah, you're going to hear in the press conference that I'm about to play, you're going to hear the attorneys discuss that very thing. There was some red flags in this press conference. Those of you that have been a member of the channel, subscriber, community and whatnot, I own it. I am very vocal that I'm a skeptic at heart. It doesn't mean that I'm unfair or, absurd in my potential possibilities, theories. But I'm skeptical. I do. You gotta think about this. If someone is involved, if they're up to no good, don't they know they're up to no good? So why are they just going to willingly acknowledge it and say it, right? Voice it. That's just not the way it goes. There's usually quite a heroic effort to hide things and conceal things. And even very often when people are like caught red-handed, they won't say that they did it for any number of reasons. But so skepticism is not a bad thing. Being skeptical, not believing people in terms of like their semantic communication, the words are speaking, believing that sometimes body language, the nonverbals that they're demonstrating, that those can carry a lot of information as well. And so I don't know. I thought the attorney talking about the hair, it was some sketchy stuff that he said. So very interesting press conference. Had some moments not very comfortable with, but overall I think, it's not, when your is found on multiple deceased bodies, and it turns out that they were conjectured to be the result of a serial killer, if your DNA is somewhere around that crime scene, you want an attorney. Now, look, my DNA right now today could be floating around at HEB. Some little kid playing in my office with toys and stuff, they could have picked it up, taken it home, and now it's floating around in the family swimming pool. So we have to be very careful about not getting too weirded out about the whole DNA focus. But for sure, if my DNA, my hair, fingernail, whatever ends up at a crime scene, I am lawyering up. I am. So we in the true crime community, if nothing else, we should have learned, be careful. Even no matter how innocent you are, we have seen some detectives, we have seen some people, all they are focused on, they want to win. They want to say, we solved the case, we put somebody in jail, and they don't seem to care if it was someone who was innocent. So that has happened. Not all of them. It's a very small minority for sure. I am a hold the blue line kind of girl for sure. But when you cover these crimes and they listen to these trials, you do learn, don't take your protections for granted. And lawyering up does not make you look more guilty. Even though this press conference sort of made me, I felt like I was Scooby-Doo, right? I was watching the press conference and I was going, huh? What? What'd they say? What? So it's a little bit, not really bad. I'm trying to filter it just a little bit. But when I was watching, there was a couple times I went, that is very sketchy. Now then, I don't know. Yes. So you can see Pascal of the Pascal show. And so here's the deal. I'm going to play the press conference through Pascal's show because I would rather give him the views than I want to give ABC or CBS the views. Again, I am not happy about mainstream media taking over YouTube, taking the little small place that independent creators and artists had for their product, their content. So I don't want to give CBS or NBC views. So we're just going to watch it through Pascal because I like Pascal. I'm a view. I think I'm a member of his channel, but I'm a viewer, and so he's one of my favorites. I will save this copy. I'm going to put his link in the chat. I hope, because we are going to watch this through his channel, I hope that you will go to his channel, you will subscribe, and then he did a great, in fact, he may still be live right now, but he did a great follow-up discussion about it and kind of what he was hearing, what he was thinking. My thoughts are a little bit different. I think it's not the same. So it would be interesting for you to listen to his too. So kind of go over and give him the views as well. But let's stay here till we're done, please. Because I ain't getting no YouTube love. The algorithm says, no, we are not going to watch that channel. Okay. All right. Quinny says, I'm already subbed to him. Good shows he puts on. He's great. Love to watch him. I don't see his wife being involved at all, but we all know we get surprises in true crime all the time. Absolutely. Let's see. Kelly, welcome. May have looked the other way. I don't blame her because her hair was there. Absolutely true. All right. Yeah, Diane, you did catch my live. I'm excited. Also, not only are we on YouTube today, but I'm also streaming to Twitter. I may get two people watching from Twitter, but you know what? Twitter is damn important. So welcome if you're watching from Twitter. All right. So let's listen and see what Pascal, or not what Pascal thinks about it, but we're going to play it through his channel.
Hold on, guys.
Put a 1 if you can hear this.
Relate everybody that
For the past several years, she's been suffering from cancer. She has breast cancer. She also has skin cancer. She's presently under a course of treatment that's going to continue for the next 12 to 18 months. Now, why I bring that up is because her health insurance is due to expire in the next 60 days.
Okay, if you can hear that, put a 1, please. Thank you. Hey, Elizabeth Ross. Hi, Jerry. Good to see you. Fancy Nancy, welcome. All right, so I'm going to be quiet now. We're just going to listen to the whole thing, then we'll come back and kind of discuss the individual pieces.
The source of her health insurance was her husband's employer. He was the employee. So when the funds run out in his business accounts, the health insurance will no longer be available for her to treat the cancer. It's going to be going treatment she needs for the next 18 months. That's the big part of it. We did tour the house on Sunday. I was there with my staff and saw the damage that was done and the mess that was left behind when the police did leave. The drain pipes were taken out of the bathroom. That little elbow piece, the traps were taken out of the bathroom sinks as well as the bathroom tubs, so you could not run any of the water. We had a cleanup crew come in with 20-yard dumpsters with 5 men and start removing debris that was left behind. As we speak, photos are being released to all of you through the internet, which you'll have digital photos of the damage that was there. I've also had the opportunity to view the so-called vault or the soundproof room in the basement. It is not a soundproof room. It is not a vault. It is a safe door about 6 foot high that is attached to 2x4s with an open ceiling in the basement like anybody's basement would be, unfinished inside. That's where the guns were allegedly stored. I also had the opportunity to view this doll that remained mentioned of by the prosecution or the police department. It's a collectible doll, and again, at some point in time, you have a photo of that Asa has collected for many, many years. It was in a wooden glass case that was there. Again, Asa would like me to express her thanks for the support she's received. She's going through a very difficult time. Emotionally, she's recovering each day, not only dealing with the cancer, but this newfound life that she has to come to terms with to protect herself and her children. The attorney for the children is here, Mr. Vespatev. I'd like him to say a few words.
Well, thank you all very much for coming. As you know, my firm represents the 2 children, Victoria and Christopher. I'd also like to say thank you to the public that's come out, the donations, the people that have sent care packages, the people that have sent money, the people that have stopped by and given them well wishes. And we've spoken, I think, in the press for the last few days about how it's so important that this family has competent and capable legal representation. And Macedonia and his firm and my firm, obviously, we're going to keep doing that because they have, as we've said before, rights and liberties that need to be protected. Okay, they all have that. Asa has that. The children have that. As this investigation continues, obviously, the district attorney's office is releasing new information every day. It's going to be a very long process. So what they're asking you all to keep in mind that it's going to be a marathon. It's not a sprint. This is going to continue. This case is going to be a very long time in the making. And through that process, obviously, we've talked about in the past few days that the law requires them, in order to preserve those legal rights and remedies, to file certain legal documents at certain intervals. If they don't do that, they will have waived those rights in the public forum. So we are, at this point, announcing that the children and Ms. Ellerup, on her behalf, are going to be protecting those legal rights and remedies by filing what's called a notice of claim. That notice of claim is going to be filed within the next 30 days, and that obviously is a legal prerequisite for filing a lawsuit. And it has to be done because otherwise those rights are waived. That's what's going to happen. When it happens, obviously, we'll let you all know. We'll let you folks know what the content of it is, but that's the announcement that we have to make. In closing, I'd like to echo my colleagues' statements. At this time, the family, again, requests truly and honestly that their rights and liberties have to be protected. And a part of that, again, is that the focus is on their basic needs, their food, their water, their shelter, their clothing, okay? And that's their paramount concern right now. It is those basic human needs that all of us have that have been ripped apart from them. So we ask you again, please respect their privacy. Please know that they're going through a horrific emotional time that none of us could imagine, and let the legal process run its course. Thank you. It's Vess, V-E-S-S, last name is Mitev, M-I-T-E-V. Again, that will be set forth in the notice of claim, but clearly it's going to be preserving the rights against law enforcement investigations and officials and investigators that were present at the scene. That's standard. Again, I wouldn't ask that you read into it too much, but that notice of claim is going to be filed. It's a legal prerequisite to filing a lawsuit, which they have to file in order to preserve their rights. Thank you.
Was the Nassau County Police Department involved in wrecking the house?
At this point in time, we're not sure what law enforcement were involved in actually entering the premises and which were involved with securing the streets and that. So we'll file a notice of claim. It'll probably list all the agencies. And then once the investigation's done, we'll narrow it down and see if there's any kind of lawsuit that can be proceeded after that. It was piled floor to ceiling with debris that was just taken out of the attics of every closet, every inch of the house. There was a path probably a foot or two wide to get from the front door to the kitchen, and that was the way through the house. The children and Asa were sleeping on really foam mats on the floor next to the dog bed where the dog was sleeping also. In addition, I forgot to mention there was 3 cats that were taken when the police executed the search warrant, taken to the animal shelter, local town of Oyster Bay animal shelter, which was going to euthanize them if they were not picked up by a certain time. We had those cats removed, voluntarily transported out to the Bayou, West Hampton, and they're going to be maintained there until they're adopted out by loving families.
Makes me so mad.
The only thing his family knows about these charges is what's been reported in the media. They have not discussed it with him. They haven't addressed it with him, and that's our instructions in them now. We haven't had that conversation. Frankly, it doesn't matter. I need to get Asa back to being mentally healthy to protect herself and her own children. She has to prepare this for at least the next couple of years before this case is litigated in the courts. She has not visited him in the jail. No, they have not. We have not been contacted. That was prior to our representation if it happened, and we have not been consulted or contacted by law enforcement. Let me reiterate. Asa or the children are not suspects in this. I think the DA's office and law enforcement has made that clear. They've stated on several occasions they were out of the jurisdiction when these alleged crimes took place. So she is not a suspect. She's not been questioned. She's not been accused of anything or being an accomplice or any part associated with whatever her husband's accused of.
Macedonia, in light of the fact that Suffolk County has proven to frame people, do you think there's any possibility that Rex Heuermann has been framed?
So I'm not even going to address that. I'm not the law enforcement. I trust they're going to do their job diligently and professionally. So I don't.
You just admitted they're lying.
What? I didn't hear what they said.
You're assuming that all the allegations are true. So if
hush, I didn't get it. I didn't get that. What'd they say?
Any possibility that Rex Heuermann has been framed?
So I'm not even going to address that. I'm not the law enforcement. I trust they're going to do their job. She's been questioned. She's not been accused of anything or being an accomplice or any part associated with whatever her husband's accused of.
Macedonia, in light of the fact that Suffolk County has proven to frame people, do you think there's any possibility that Rex Heuermann has been framed?
So I'm not even going to address that. I'm not the law enforcement. I
wow.
Do their job diligently and professionally. So I don't.
Framed.
Okay, you're assuming that all the allegations are true. So if the assumption of your question are true, he lived a complete double life. One of the photos that was released to you that you'll have momentarily will show the house at Christmas time with a Christmas tree and stockings hung by the fireplace at the alleged same time he's alleged to have gone out and committed these serial murders and buried the girls up in Gilgo. So if it happened, it's a complete double life. I assure you she knew nothing about it.
Shalimar.
They have been released already. You should have them. Your agency should all have them. They were sent out. Yes. The water is running, but the drain pipes run the water. The sink just drops down and goes right down to the basement. There's no. The plumbing has been repaired, or at least the sink's been repaired. Working on the tub as we speak.
How often are you speaking with investigators?
I have not spoken to investigators at all. Not at all.
Are there any?
No.
Listen, this is interesting.
No. They have not reached out to us, so I can't assume what they would be doing. I'm sure they're running a professional investigation. I understand the grand jury is still impaneled, so that's their function, and we have not been reached out by them at all. Well, I think it's what's been said. They say a hair of her likeness was at the crime scene. I don't think they said DNA of hers was at the crime scene.
That's wrong.
So
what he just said is completely wrong. He said a likeness of her hair. Could have been a piece of my hair. My hair is like the same color as hers, maybe a little bit shorter, but long and straight with a little bit of curl, not curl, but waves. Maybe it was my hair there. That's what he's saying, that they found hair. It looked like her hair. It's not what the cop said. The cop said it is her hair. They've tested the DNA. They have no doubt that is Asa's hair. It is. So he's wrong about that. And this part really bothered me. I think of all the things that this press conference left me with, this was the one place that I just thought, ooh, that you just did not serve your client well right there. We all make mistakes. We all stumble on our words. Lord knows I do. But trying to mislead, here's where you go wrong. Trying to mislead by saying, no, they didn't say they had her DNA. They said that it was the likeness. Because every one of those journalists is sitting there going, no, sir, you're wrong. Her DNA is on not one body, but multiple bodies. So why are you now wiggling out of this trying to say, no, it was the likeness of someone who had hair like her? That's not true. They said her DNA in the form of hair was found, on these bodies. So that was worrisome.
Of her likeness of hair. So I don't think the DNA has been proven to be hers at the crime scene.
Did y'all hear that? Listen again.
Of her likeness of hair. So I don't think the DNA has been proven to be hers at the crime scene. Sure.
Sure. Before that, I just want to piggyback off something Mr. Macedonio just said, and this goes back maybe 2 days, but this DNA order that was cut, okay, that's a very standard order in any kind of criminal prosecution. This was a order that was going to be granted no matter what, okay? Anytime you have a case involving DNA evidence, a buccal swab is quite standard. The state of, the laws of the state of New York are that you can be required, subject to your constitutional limitations, to provide what's called non-testimonial evidence. Hair, materials, DNA. So that order was completely pro forma. I understand it was reported in the media as this groundbreaking.
He's trying to clean it up.
Moment in the case, but it's not. It gets cut in every case, and if it wasn't ordered, it would have been immediately created an appealable issue. So back to your question. Obviously, they're as we've said before, every moment that they spend in this waking surreal nightmare, they have to keep reevaluating where they are. Okay, their valuables were shattered, their beds were destroyed, the places that they laid their heads down at night no longer exist. The reason that they spend so much time outside and why you folks photograph them on the porch is because they can't be inside. The house is in shambles. It's ransacked. It's run over through roughshod. Okay, so it's not as if they don't want to be inside their house, but the conditions inside are deplorable, and they were left in a deplorable condition. So how are they doing? Again, we go back to what we need as humans. We need food, water, clothing, shelter, a roof over our heads, a place to lay our heads down at night. All of those things they were deprived of summarily without any warning. And every day that goes by, again, kindness of strangers, and we appreciate that. They help get back a little bit of normalcy, but it's not going to be enough. Every dollar counts. Obviously, they have a long way to go. It's not going to be enough today. It's not going to be enough tomorrow. It's not going to be enough for months, maybe years. So in order to piece back what's been crumbled into a million pieces is going to take a very long time. And they need all that. And that's what humans need. It's absolutely the appropriate time to talk about the condition of Heuermann's house and children. Again, they're innocent bystanders in this. And that's, again, we cannot stress that enough. Because of what has happened here, and it's of unimaginable magnitude, they're caught up in this. They're victims just as much.
Absolutely true.
Disagree, or you might, consider that there were horrific things that are alleged to have been happened, but an allegation and a conviction are quantum leaps apart. So yes, they are victims, and yes, they are innocent bystanders, and yes, their lives have been completely upended and turned upside down.
Wow.
Just Ginge, you're
Again,
thinking what I'm
I appreciate the
thinking.
question, and we thank you for it. We're not here to talk about that today. We're here to give you an update, disseminate some new photos, which I think will give you a better idea. A picture's worth 1,000 words, obviously, as to what the house was, what their life was like. It's contained in those pictures as well, but we're not going to talk about that. And obviously to announce that we are going to be exercising their legal rights and remedies by filing the notices.
And that's good. They should do that.
Sorry, you cannot call the jail. The jails have to be outgoing only from the jail. So there's no, they're spoken over the phone. Yeah, like I've stated, all those jail calls are recorded. So we've instructed her, and I'm sure his attorneys instructed him not to discuss the facts of the case. It just doesn't benefit either party. That's the only way the call could happen.
This is crazy.
It is crazy, Pascal.
Of course, I discussed that with her, and at some point in time, she'll make a statement on why she feels it was appropriate to do that. Okay, Johnny Ray is trying to keep himself relevant in this case. He has a victim, and he's been on TV for the last 10 years trying to get any kind of press he can on this and make himself relevant in this case. I can assure you, Asa Ellerup and her 2 children are not suspects in this case. They shouldn't be suspects in this case. I wholeheartedly trust the DA's investigation that eliminated them. So I don't know what Johnny Ray's purpose is in doing that, but like I said, trying to keep himself relevant in this matter. They're not assisting at all. We've never been contacted. Again, if this happened, it was a complete double life. They have no information to provide. But again, they're not suspects. They haven't been questioned. I do not believe they have any relevant information, or they would have been questioned already and called into the grand jury. Complete double life.
I want to ask about the notice of claim.
We haven't gotten to that discussion. We don't know what he told his lawyer. Like again, she hasn't had that conversation with him, and we instructed her not to.
Want to go back to the notice of claim for a second?
Yeah, she has not even asked. We told her to ignore all that, ignore the media reports, things that have been reported in the media. A soundproof room. Everybody reported that. That is not true. So everybody ran with that story that he had this sex dungeon downstairs in his house with a soundproof room where he was bringing prostitutes and murdering them and then burying them on Gilgo Beach. There is no soundproof room in that house. So we cannot believe everything that's been reported in the media. We've told her that and instructed her that to get herself mentally healthy, and so she can be there for her children who are suffering through this.
The notice of claim. What are the grounds for that? Can you tell us what you alleging in there?
There are certain rights
Agreed, Quinny.
have to protect within a 90-day period for notice of claim the property damage that was done. If you don't file that notice of claim within 90 days, you lose the right to pursue it at a later date. So we're just going to protect those.
Yeah, agreed, Just Ginge.
Whether or not a lawsuit will be pursued will be
Hey,
directly.
Jill.
You have to file a notice of claim within a 90-day period, or you waive it. Okay? No, I do not. Okay?
In your opinion, as the wife of
If my opinion, I didn't think they were, we would not be filing a notice of claim. Okay? Thank you.
All right.
I don't know the actual date of marriage. 96?
Okay, so there's your date. Everybody's been trying to find out like when they got married. So he said he believes they got married in 1996, and I think that's probably right. I don't know when they were married, but I had some information on the first wife and when, like, information about the divorce and such. And so the 96 matches that goes along with the divorce. Now I want to share this, not that, this. All right. Okay. So, I've seen the pictures. You guys have probably seen the pictures as well of the inside of the house, right? There's boxes upon boxes, piles of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. They also cut the sides out of bathtubs. They tore sheetrock down to go into walls. They opened up the catch drain, the elbow looking thing, and tested those pipes and took those with them. They are entitled to do all of that in an investigation with a search warrant. You remember, if you're part of this whole true crime community, how many of these situations have come up and people have been found like in the floor space, or they were found like in a wall, inside an actual wall, wrapped up in a rug, in the ceiling, underneath the insulation. So people that are murdering, they begin to accumulate things, or if they're serial killers, they're likely taking some manner of trophy or remembrance. They can get very, very creative about how they are hiding things. So I don't doubt that they had the search warrants that said, look at where you need to look, do what you need to do, search every nook and cranny imaginable. Okay, they can do that. If a police officer needs to take your car for a high speed chase or something, and your car gets wrecked, nobody's held liable. You just have to use your own insurance to repair it or get a new one. So, I don't think it should be that way, but it is that way. And so, in an investigation, they can do what they want to do. So, but I also saw these photographs, and I tried to put myself in their position, and I thought, if they took everything out of my attic, and if they took everything out of all of my closets, would I have that many boxes to just stack one on top of the other? Would I have that much stuff that I would literally be, they said that there was like a 2-foot wide clearing beside the dog bed where they had put like the foam, I guess like mattress toppers, and they were sleeping on the floor. So I'm asking myself, where'd all this stuff come from? Realistically, the stuff coming out of and I'm not a neat freak, not by a long stretch of the imagination. My living room is always like super, there's no clutter, there's not a lot of knickknacks, things like that. It's very, it stays really, really, pretty and ready for anybody to come in. Kitchen is generally usually presentable. But if you get back to like my bedrooms and no, I'm comfortable. That's where I live, So I don't worry about that. But the living room, the kitchen, the public places, I guess, are pretty straight. My closets are packed full. Like I do keep a lot of things, and I have winter clothes because I spend a lot of time in Colorado, and then I have pure summer clothes because it's Texas. And then I also have my work clothes. So I do have a lot of different clothing that is used. But even in those those extreme cases, if you took everything out of my attic and you took everything out of my closets, the stuff that's in the closets could easily be piled up on a bed, and the things in my attic wouldn't even cover like the living room. You could probably, because it's mostly like Christmas decorations, probably just stack it on the sofa. So when I saw those pictures, I thought, gosh, what is all of that? What are all of the boxes, and what is all that? Why out of this whole entire house are you only able to make you a 2-foot wide area to lay these mattress toppers down so that you and your adult children have a place to sleep? What's going on there? Right? It seems very strange. And so this is like a visual that was put out. It's educational in terms of understanding for clinicians to understand, are you really dealing with like real hoarding, or is this person you're working with, is it simple clutter? Like what's the depth and the degree of what you're dealing with, right? And so I don't know, the image that they give you that there was only a 2-foot wide area to sleep, that definitely leaves me to hoarding idea, my thoughts, or that's got to be a hoarding situation. Otherwise, why would you only have 2 feet, right? The pictures that we did see, it was just stuff stacked. I mean, it was just stacked. Like, I don't even know what it could have been. Like if you were moving out of your house maybe, and you had taken all your dishes, and I don't know, it was very strange. So I don't know, you look at the outside of the house, right? And it is in pretty, it's in pretty significant disrepair, I think, which is notable when you consider the other properties surrounding it. Because when they come home every day, they've got to look and say, wow, look, they look like they're living in a little McMansion. And, my house looks like it should be condemned. And I'm married to an architect. So what's going on there? That's very odd. And he keeps buying all of this land in North Carolina. What's happening here? This is, so the reason I'm doing this, I'm not picking on Ms. Ellerup and her 2 children. Please don't think that. I'm setting the stage for what I'm about to present. And it is that we very often see this hoarding type behavior once people have had significant, serious, long-standing loss in their life. They are not moving forward in their grief and their bereavement, and they get stuck. And so they get stuck in denial, and they cannot let go of the things that make them feel insulated from that loss, or the things that keep them connected to the thing that they've lost. And they'll hang on to it in this very irrational way that basically will end up destroying their lives. They ultimately lose everything because, they're stuck. But cluttering is a different process. Cluttering comes long before hoarding, but it is definitely a precursor to hoarding. And with the clutter, this is more a sign of depression. This is where people, they're trying to keep things relatively organized. It's in boxes. They're trying to keep it stacked, or they have everything over in the corner, where they know where it is. But they just don't have two things. They don't have the physical energy, because their brain, the chemicals in their brain are disrupted. They don't have enough norepinephrine, to give them that kind of kick. There's no dopamine firing. So they're not getting the reward or the motivation to physically do the work. But the other part of that too is they don't have the motivation. Their brain is sort of numb. They really just want to self-isolate and pull back away from everybody else and just kind of veg out. A lot of people will get on Netflix and just stay there and watch a whole series from start to finish, which might be like 17 hours, and they'll never move during that whole time. They just lay there and watch it. Well, if you're fairly healthy, if you try to lay in bed for 17 hours, you can't do it, because you physically, the muscles are uncomfortable, and your body is saying, go, come on, get up, you need to walk. So when you see people that are capable of laying in bed for hours and hours and hours, right there, we know, the chemicals are disrupted. It's probably some level of depression, and you need to figure out how to kickstart things and get the person feeling better. If this depressed person is ignored and nobody comes and tries to help them and get them to the proper services, then cluttering will grow into hoarding. And if you go to the hoarding, channel, and you listen to these stories that people tell day after day, it's always the same story, that the house belonged to their parents, or the house belonged to a husband or a wife and she died and now he just can't go on without her. He won't get rid of anything. He's still got her old clothes, her favorite ice cream. 20 years later, you got her favorite ice cream in a refrigerator you can no longer use, but it's there and it makes him feel comforted. Makes him feel like she's still with him. It's really tragic. It's really sad that some people can get so isolated that they're hanging on to the past like it's the only thing they have are their memories. So it is very tragic. So what would lead somebody to move to this arena of cluttering or accepting this external house that is in disrepair, even though you are an architect or you are the person that is married to the architect? Again, I presented the information about Mr. Heuermann, the father, the so-called NASA, satellite guy. He was an abusive man, and Rex Heuermann grew up with a father who hated him, who disliked him, who used to beat him because he wouldn't stand up for himself. But we've seen the interview with Rex Heuermann. He's not that guy. He's a little bit timid and passive on the surface right now. He grew to enjoy his hate and his anger, and that's what led to his violence. And it was dramatically different than the real personality that came into the world. But through the dad's, abuse and denying him approval and lack of affiliation with friends, and things just got turned upside down, and he had to get fulfillment in a really bizarre and tragic way. The young women that are involved in this case, they do have some fairly standard appearance to them. They're all quite small in stature, kind of dark reddish, brown hair. And some people have said, well, maybe they look like his mom. And I would say, I would like to see his high school yearbook. I would like to see some of the girls that might have been in the class with him if we saw a resemblance there. And I don't know that to be true, but it'd just be kind of interesting to see. So I think with the condition, the external condition of the house, and then the photographs that just demonstrate the sheer volume of nearly hoarding type levels of items. I don't know that it is. It could have been exactly like the first one, collecting. It could have been perfectly well organized, but I do think that this could have been a sign of her depression, living with a man who was, flawed and dealing with his own problems, emotional, mental health problems. And it just might have been a very frightening house to be in. It's possible that it was just a house that they were all very controlled and they were afraid to get out and do anything. And so they kind of became, prisoners in their own home. So that is a possibility. I think it is very telling that she was at an attorney getting a divorce faster than you could shake a stick at. It was very fast. Not, because you think about this, think about your own husband or your own wife. What would you do if if you picked up the phone and somebody said, hey, let me tell you something. I saw your wife or your husband steal a 3-carat diamond at the local Zales Jewelers when the salesman turned their back. I saw it. I know he did it. How many of you would go, oh, wow, well, let me call him and turn him in immediately? No, you would go, who are you? You don't know me. You don't know my husband. Of course, my husband didn't steal a diamond. He wouldn't even steal a damn candy bar. That is not in his nature. He wouldn't do it. Am I right? You don't see the people that you trust, the people that treat you well in life, the people that you rely on. You don't see them as the bad guy. It doesn't fit with your image, your worldview, the way that person fits into your life. You don't see that. It's not there. Oh, well, let me tell you, your husband actually, even though he's an accountant and he's going in every day to his little CPA firm and he's making $1 million a year, he actually is a meth dealer. Yes, your husband, your wife is dealing meth. That's how he's making all his money. Right, Barry? Right? You would say, you're crazy. My husband is the most mild-mannered, sweetest guy on the planet. He would never deal drugs, much less meth. You're crazy. I don't believe you. Don't call this house again. So that is what that would be your reaction, because the people that are in your life that you trust, you believe in, you depend on them, they help take care of you, they give you comfort and happiness. That's who they are. When somebody from the outside the circle of trust, when that person outside the circle of trust comes in and they bring information to you that doesn't fit with this intimate partner, this person that you know everything about them, you reject that. If you agree that you would reject this information about your spouse or your child or whatever, put a 1. If you think you would probably believe it, even though it didn't fit with your wife or husband's or child's behavior, put a 2. Do you believe it? Put a 1. Do you reject it? Put a 2. And I'm going to have a small little drink while you type your answer. Yeah, Diane, I think it was probably SSI money that they were using. Well, Diane, Barry does. What are you suggesting? Barry has to buy a lot of rocks. He likes to stack rocks. You know what I mean? Makes a lot of money. He is an excellent rock stacker. We've seen that. Okay. All right. So a few people are participating, not very many, but thank y'all. For those of you that are answering, I appreciate you. Okay. So so it doesn't fit with your view of the loved one. And so if somebody from the outside comes in and tries to tell you something horrible about your loved one, you just immediately, your brain naturally, automatically, with no thought, rejects it. Your brain says, you're just trying to cause trouble. I don't know why you're doing this, but out damn spot. I don't know who you are. You don't matter to me. And I don't even think you're real. Anyway, so go away, right? Not Asa. Asa. I wrote her name. Asa. Yeah, Asa. She adapted very quickly. They wrap your head around this. They arrest her husband, Shalimar. They arrest your husband, and then it takes you exactly 9-10 days to go get a divorce. Something's going on there. Why didn't she reject that notion? Why didn't she say, no, I don't believe you. Where's the proof? Show me your evidence. You come into my house, you take my husband, you destroy what little bit we have. I want some evidence. Convince me that he did this. Just one of those girls. Convince me. She didn't do that. In this press conference right here, they said the cops have not questioned Asa. She has not been questioned. She has not spoken to them. She has not spoken to them. So she has not been able to demand evidence or to demand proof or ask someone to convince her. She hasn't been able to do that with anyone. And yet within 10 days, she goes from a state of denial and disbelief, cognitive dissonance on a scale that you and I can't even comprehend, all the way to, oh, I need to get a divorce. This guy is a monster. And she didn't know anything. Now, I don't think, let me be clear about this. I don't think she knew. I don't think she went to bed at night and said, oh, my husband is the Long Island serial killer. No way. That did not happen. No. But here's what I do think. I think it is evidence how quickly she went and got that divorce or filed for divorce. I do think that is evidence that he was not exactly living a double life, that he was little Mr. Ward Cleaver coming home in the evenings and playing Yahtzee with the family and, giving treats to the dog. But I think he was abusive. I think by evidence of the external features of that house, what we've seen now with the internal in terms of just the amount of stuff. If you don't have that stuff in your house, then they can't leave it cluttered everywhere. They can make a mess. They can take drywall out. They can cut the tub up. They can do all that for sure. But that's not what the pictures look like. The pictures look like enough stuff in there that it looked almost like hoarding. All of those are indications that there's something happening with mental health, severe depression, and severe depression does in fact go along with abuse. We know that Rex was going regularly, multiple times a week, that he was going to the bar and doing happy hour with his architect and designer friends. But she and her kids were not doing very much. The girl was working with Rex, but the son and the mother were home all the time. Nobody ever saw them except at the grocery store. And the checkout lady said that they were using food stamps, which really comes on a card. It's not actually the paper product like we used to have, that they were using food stamps to buy groceries. I would contend that it probably wasn't food stamps. It was probably his SSI is probably what they were using. So this is a horribly tragic. I mean, the number of victims that Rex Heuermann has put out into the world is staggering. The amount of emotional, the destruction of human souls is just, it's incredible. It's really incredible. I don't think that Rex worked alone. I think there's enough corruption coming out of, New Jersey and New York. There's no telling how many cops were a part of whatever this was, and they felt like the Gilgo 4, that investigation was going to reveal their corruption. And so they wanted to put it to bed as fast as possible. I believe that. If you don't believe me about the level of corruption during that time period, Google the 77th precinct and what was going on there at about the same time that these girls were going missing and dying. It was horrible what they were doing. And they all, got in trouble. 4 or 5 cops went to prison. It was a bad deal. So this wasn't far from that. And again, you have to ask yourself, if there was a rich man's Hunger Games going on out there on the island, and they were bringing hookers in, people that they thought no one would miss, and they were playing horrible, terrible, awful games like hunting the human being. And whoever got that human being might, if you have to pay $25,000 to join the hunt, and there's 5 of you guys hunting, then whichever one gets the human being, gets the prey, they pocket $125,000 tax-free. Those are the kinds of games that these uber wealthy sicko perverts play. And the men that were involved, there's no doubt. I think everybody believes that there was a cover-up of the highest order. But maybe the district attorney, maybe they weren't directly related to this whatever they had going on at Joseph Brewer's house, maybe they were directly related, but perhaps it was one of those issues that they thought, you know, we have a lot of interaction with some of these men that are doing this. We know who they are. Killing a few escorts makes our job easier, and I don't care what they do out there as long as I get my cut of the money. And if there's an investigation into that, then it falls back to the 77th precinct, then all their dirty stuff would be uncovered. Again, this is what? Speculation Friday. Okay, so I'm just giving you what ifs. I'm not telling you these are my actual theories about what happened. These are ideas, these are thoughts that have come to me because I don't have any answers. I don't know, other than I do believe that Shannon Gilbert was killed by Rex Heuermann. I believe that because I think I can hear his voice on the recording, the 911. I don't know if you guys can hear the helicopters. We have lots of Air Force helicopters flying around my house right now. They do training. They're coming back. I'm sorry if y'all can hear that. It's very loud when it happens. I do think I can hear his voice a couple of different times. I do think that I can count 4 different voices, not just Mike Pack and Joseph Brewer, but I think that there is another person's voice that I can match up to a TV interview. And I think the story that they told Mike Pack and even Alex Diaz, the boyfriend, even Alex's story was not, it wasn't compatible with the evidence that we know right now. Her own words on that recording were, "You were in on this." And he's like, no, I didn't know these people till tonight. She didn't believe that. Whatever she saw, whatever was going on, she thought there was obviously some level of orchestrated mayhem, and she was to be the next target. And she's an escort. I want y'all to think about this. People keep saying, oh, no, she was just on drugs. I don't think she was on drugs. I mean, she may have been on party drugs, but I don't think she was incapacitated. She is an escort. She has spent more than 2 hours with a house full of men. Why is she going to call 911? Wouldn't she be afraid of being arrested? Wouldn't she be afraid that she would be in trouble? She is an escort, and she's in a gated community with nothing but old, retired, rich people. You heard that in the 911 calls. Doesn't that seem foolish that she would say, I better call 911? Not only does she call 911, she says, can you trace where I am? She is asking them, whatever you do, whatever you have to do, just find me, because they are going to kill me. No, there's something bad that went on. There's something very bad. And I also know a great deal about the whole serial killer, the literature on these guys. I'm talking about the nonfiction, the literature on these various people. And there's one thing for certain. Rex Heuermann did not just stop killing people. So is that what's going on in Las Vegas? Because Las Vegas has a number of murder victims or missing girls, young women, that they feel like is a good fit with the Gilgo 4. So that is very interesting to me. So there'll be more, on this. But in terms of, I'm going to quit talking just a minute, and then we'll chit chat. Hi, Tina JP. Hey, Cass P. So for the mother, here's what I want to say. I think that the external disrepair of the home, the internal clutter and or hoarding combined with the damage that was done during the search, I think they're not going to get much relief for that. I don't think. There's no way the cops would have done that without having had a search warrant, a specific one that said, we need to tear up the pipes. We need to go into all of the walls. We need to check the baseboards. We need to look up in the attic. So I kind of think they're not going to get very far with that. What do I think the purpose of the press conference was? I'm not sure. There were a couple of things that seemed like red flags to me. One, it's a red flag that the one attorney said, what's his name? Macedonia? Was that his name? Macedonia? Yeah, Macedonia. That was Asa's attorney. He said, no. They don't have Asa's DNA. They have the likeness of her hair. But the other attorney, the attorney for Victoria, and I can't remember the boy's name, Christopher. The attorney for Victoria and Christopher had to step up and correct that and go, well, actually, you're wrong. They do have her DNA found on multiple bodies. However, that is not unusual to request the buccal swab, blah, blah, blah. And so he tried to walk that back. So what do you guys make of, and then Atlantic City, yes, Quinny, absolutely. Hi, Micah, welcome. Hey, Oakwood Nymph. So what do you guys make of this? What do you guys make of two different attorneys, one for the mom, one for the children? What do you make of that? Is he really worth $8 million? Where's the money? Show me the money, right? Well, 240 guns, depending on what kind of guns they are. They're probably pretty shockingly desirable. Right there, you could reach $200,000, $250,000 if there's ammunition and clips, and there's probably some illegal guns, true automatic guns probably. So that could be a big chunk of money. Also, he was in the process of purchasing a great amount of land in North Carolina. And the idea being, I suppose, that they were going to have like their own little prepper camp. People kind of made fun of that. And I thought, the skeptical part of me, I sat back and said, oh, no. Old Rex is not a prepper. He's got offices in downtown Manhattan. He is not a prepper. What do you guys think they're doing with all that land? The high fences around the land, keeping everybody at bay, not making friends, being South Carolina. Thank you, Skylar. Thank you so much. Keeping people at bay, not making friends with people in the community at all. What do you think they were doing with that land? What do y'all think? There's all kinds of weirdos out there that would want souvenirs from a serial killer. She could auction all of his stuff for a lot of money. Jodi Arias right now today is selling pictures. Her art. It is scary. Who would want to own some of her work? Like, why would you want that? But they do, and she's making a lot of money. They're worth a lot of money. It is some sort of compound, and it does go along with this idea. Are they catching people that they think others will not miss? I mean, we had some of the Gilgo bodies, they were never reported missing. Are they hunting them? Is this a weird sicko movie kind of S&M sport that this guy's fallen into? Who knows? He was doing something with his money, y'all. He was doing something with his money because he had no care that house was an embarrassment, that all the properties around his house were just skyrocketing in value. Like the value of the neighborhood itself was just astronomical. And he was living in the slum right there next to these $1 million homes. So what's he doing with all this money? It's very interesting. Now, the picture, I think it's safe to say that the picture that these attorneys paint is that this family is destitute, that there is no money. Well, I'm going to ask you guys this again. The guy's got a practice in Manhattan. How is that remotely possible that he does not have any money in the bank? I don't believe that. Maybe, Caspi. Absolutely, yeah. And there are a lot of people that are having a lot of questions about the brother. Yes, Skylar, absolutely. So the brother is very interesting. For example, so he's both of his vehicles, the Rex, both of his vehicles are these avalanches, right? And the avalanche that was reported being seen the night that Shannon Gilbert went missing, it's being stored in South Carolina at the compound. You think the brother didn't know? He knew. My opinion only, wild speculation Friday, but that's hard to believe that the brother did not know. So it's some strange, we're not even close to knowing the reality of the story. Not even close. But I do think this move today with the attorneys is very interesting. I think it is interesting that the kids have attorneys and then the mother has an attorney. Why would that be? I want to see some of you guys guess. What would be the motivation or the need for having an attorney for Asa, and then the two kids have their own attorney? Because they're not minors, they're adults. What do you guys think that's about? For sure he would, Martian Planet. He would absolutely. Not only would he have his professional licensing, he would have his liability insurance, which for an architect that's practicing independently would be in the thousands of dollars a month, I'm sure. And then he would have continuing education that he would have to take. So it's not just the rent of his office to keep his company going. He's got probably maybe $2,500, $3,000 a month just for insurance and licensing and continuing education. Well, not giving the wife access to any money, forcing her to use her adult son's Social Security income, that would be one way to control her, wouldn't it? That would be one way to stop her from being able to escape and get a divorce. So, that's the other part. It only took her 9 or 10 days to file for divorce. Sounds like it's been on her mind a long time. Yes, I definitely think so, Martian Planet. I think that she's fixing to start trying to sue everyone to see what she can get. I think the kids are probably going to go after the estate and start selling everything and try to get as much money as they can that way. My concern is this. What do you think the chances are, because of the DNA that was left on the bodies? And the cops have come out and said she was not there at the time that these people were reported missing. She was out of the country with her kids. But what if they try to make a case against her to put pressure on Rex to sign a, for him to admit that he did it? What if they try to put pressure on her and say, well, you didn't engage in these deaths. It wasn't that you were conspiring to kidnap these people or kill them, but you did help cover it up. You knew this was going on and you didn't contact the police. You didn't tell the police that he came home bloody and, they could do that. They could do that to try to increase pressure on him to confess and avoid a lengthy and very expensive trial. Again, I don't believe, not for a moment, I don't believe that she had anything to do with this. It doesn't fit the picture. Not on anytime you've seen this kind of Bonnie and Clyde thing where there were two people working in tandem, there was usually a sexual nature to it. I don't think her age and whatnot, that's not what happened. Like, I'm convinced of it. That is not what happened. However, if he's an abusive, controlling man, if he's limited the funds to her and to the children, the daughter had a job working. Where was she working? Was she working at Macy's? I believe she was working at Macy's. She graduated from college. And then he made her come to work at his firm, answering the phone. So now he's watching her at home, but now he's also seeing her during the day. So how controlling was the guy? So he probably was. If he is in fact the killer, if he did in fact do these things, and he is considered innocent until a jury, or a judge, looks at the evidence and says no, he's probably guilty. They are paranoid. They are watching and trying to make sure that nobody's going to the police and family members are not finding evidence and, things like that. So maybe there is the fear that they're going to try to do something with her, not because she did anything, not because she, had anything to do with this under any circumstances, but that there would just be trying to develop a case that would force him to say, hey, I confess, now leave my family alone. So that might be, that's pretty far. That's reaching, I think. Well, what would be the other reason that maybe they would have two different attorneys? Do y'all know? So she'll have to fight daughter for her own sake. Okay, well, here's another possibility, Shalimar. I don't know if you were here. Apparently, Asa has cancer. Her treatment plan has her undergoing chemotherapy for the next 18 months. That's a very long time. Usually you'll hear protocols that are like 3 months or 6 months. So I'm not sure. Maybe there's some leukemia or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma or something. But 18 months of chemo. Well, people lose their entire retirements and fortunes to medical, treatment. So that could be the other estimation, is that the kids will inherit, he'll sign everything over to the kids, anything of value, and they'll sell all the land and the house and everything. They'll sell all that so they have money. And that would also insulate that money from the dangers of the cancer treatment. And then you say, well, how's she going to get cancer treatment? Because in a few weeks, she's going to be without health insurance. That is true. However, the law that was signed in by the Obama administration, pre-existing conditions no longer hold. She will be able to get treatment. She just won't be able to go to some of the private doctors that might be more competent or more experienced, right? So she'll have to go to a state-funded place. But this is New York. They have great facilities. So that may be what she's doing. She may just be trying to save what fortune they have, so that the kids are safe. Remember, the son has got special needs. They have to provide for him somehow. She's got a college degree. She'll be able, Victoria, she'll be able to take care of herself, and she'll probably take care of her brother, would be my guess, because she was pretty isolated too. This whole family was very schizotypal. They didn't socialize. Rex would go to happy hour and drink. Everybody there said he was strange, though. He's an unusual guy. So maybe they're just trying to save the value that they currently have. Maybe that's why there's two attorneys involved. maybe there's two attorneys because they fear that the cops are going to try to pull, something sneaky with the mother because her DNA was found on a couple of the bodies. That's possible. Now, if you go and listen to Pascal's show after we finish here, and I really, really want you to, because we listened to his channel, he has a completely different view of the purpose for this press conference. Now, I will say this: when I finished watching the press conference, the immediate thing that went through my mind was why? Why did you have a press conference? Why didn't you just do all this away from the camera? Are you trying to get famous? Is this a money grab for you? Are you trying to get some attention for your career? Like, why would you call it a press conference? This doesn't make any sense. You can do all of this. You can even do the divorce, and no one has to know that because they didn't commit the crimes. Rex Heuermann committed the crime. So there's no reason to put their business out as a news story. So you'll have to go listen to Pascal to see why he thought they did a press conference. All right. So is that Pascal? Hold on. Make sure I didn't. Yes. Okay, so the link I put in the chat. Sorry about that. Okay. So this is the link to the Pascal show, the press conference from today. I would encourage you to listen. He had an interesting take on why he thought, like, one of the possibilities for why they even made this a press conference. It was really no reason to make it a press conference. So I think it's interesting that they did. I still think there's a group that does these killings, powerful people. That's why there are different ways that the bodies were found. What if he will not divorce her? It won't matter. Divorce is very easy to come by. It is not hard to do anymore. I'll bet his wife wanted to divorce him a long time and was afraid, or she was controlled, right? So, and this was her, the minute he's in jail, she's like, oh, I better get out while the getting's good, right? I agree with you, Miranda. Mom, wife seems like money grab to me. I didn't make it and I couldn't hear over the vacuum. Yeah, cancer, right? All the reason to not live in a house of filth. If daughter works with dad and is by his side, then mom and son are home all day. Families get ugly. True. I think she must have suspected something, but I very doubt she had a clue. I absolutely agree. No, I think that it's likely, based on how quickly she filed for divorce, I think it's likely that she knew he was up to no good, that she knew that there was something wrong, and I do think that she was being abused. I don't think she thought this. I don't think she said, oh, maybe Rex is the Long Island serial killer. No. But I think, he was abusive. I think he was controlling. And the fact that they're now without money, something wrong. Something. So she probably knew there was something, but I don't think she had a clue. There's no way anybody could prepare themselves for, hey, guess what? Your husband is a serial killer. That's not the kind of thing that a woman wants to hear. So the property in South Carolina is right next to the killer brother. So Rex's brother killed the chief of police in a drunk driving accident. So no, it's no better to be in South Carolina. You can Google the property and look at it. It's scary. It looks like meth haven. It's scary. No, she doesn't want to live there. Not that she doesn't deserve restitution, but Rex probably has all his goodies in the trust of the daughter. All the oppression is headed for histrionic or similar behaviors, and the attorneys are fanning the flames. Oh, the attorneys. I just thought it was silly to do the press conference. I don't see what the use of it was. And I don't think Pascal did either. He seemed I think he seemed a bit, well, just go watch. Just go watch his show and his discussion on it. I really wanted to talk about this issue that she's trying to make of they destroyed the house, and then now the pictures we're seeing are because they took everything out of the closets and whatnot. No, I think there was more going on in the house. I think if you look at the outside of the house, you look at the fact they're out of money right now, you look at the fact that he's been in jail how long, and she doesn't have any cash that she can access. That's just odd. You know, they do say, let me say this, they do say that most people, a majority of the population, not everybody, but a majority of the population is one paycheck away from being basically homeless, that there's no cash to use. So you say, well, okay, I can certainly accept that. They don't pay police officers enough money. They don't pay firemen. Teachers don't make enough money. Military doesn't make enough money. So I believe that, okay? The reason why I say this is so odd in this situation is because the man is a professional architect. That means he has a license where he can do all of his architect magic, and he doesn't have to have any oversight. No other professional has to look at his work and say, okay, you've done everything right. All of your math is correct. No buildings are going to fall down on anyone's heads. You're fine. He is the authority. Rex Heuermann is the man with the license who goes in and checks the work of other architects, non-licensed architects, not professional architects or professional engineers, right? He is the man. He is the authority. And he's the authority in Manhattan, that's where you attract the best of the best. Why is there no money? Why is there no money? Even just like, let's say in his company, it's kind of hard to, you get big chunks of money that get paid at one time, and they come in as accounts receivable, and then they sit there as your accountants pay out the smaller bills, electricity bill, buying paper for the copier, things like that. So my question is, how in the world did your big chunks of money, both the amount of money that would be currently sitting in the accounts now, already have come in, plus what about all the work you've done that hasn't been paid yet, that you've billed for, that you're waiting for it to be coming in? Where's all that money? You're telling me that your part, the company itself cannot give your daughter, who is an employee, can't give her any cash? Of course you can. Accountants can make that happen all the time. If I have a company, well, I do have a company, but if I have a company and I go, oh gosh, I need a van for my company for something. I don't know what, but let's say I need a van. I can then turn around and go to the accountants and say, look, we haven't budgeted for the van. This is new. I've got 3 quotes to show that the price I want to pay is an expected value, that it's a good price. And so I need the money. And so then they make sure that they get that money to me and they allocate it properly. So at the end of the day, when they file my taxes and they do the end of year paperwork and stuff, it all balances out. If I want to go in and say I need an extra $2,000 or $5,000 for something, I don't know, vacation, I can get that money. Money's not frozen. So they could Why aren't they giving? She's an employee with his company. He can approve her to get a big chunk of money. It's his company. So I don't understand. I don't know, unless he's just flat broke. I don't know. But if you're completely broke, how do you maintain an office in Manhattan? Maybe the business has the money and pays Rex some type of rent for use of his license, services, and lease space. No, he is the business. They are paying him. Now he will have a corporation, an entity that protects him from lawsuits and things like that. But he'll depending on what physical structure the company is, he'll be the president, or he'll be whatever role he's playing. And I don't know if he I don't know what his structure. I don't know what the structure is. But it doesn't make any difference. It is his company. That is his money. He can access it. He can give it to whoever he wants to. If you have an employee that comes in and they say, I need $1,000 for X, Y, and Z, would you give me extra money for something? You can do that. You can make that decision. The accountants have to allocate it properly according to the law. But I can certainly, if I'm taking a salary, maybe I'm not even taking a salary, maybe I'm getting money a different way. But let's say I'm taking a salary from my company, or I'm taking an end of the year bonus. There's a lot of different ways that your own company can pay you. If I'm getting a salary, all the money that's in the company and the operating business itself, it's still mine. It's different if it's a publicly traded company. Then you got a board of directors and stock owners. That's a whole different ballgame. But that's not what he was doing. This was just a small business, and I don't know if it was an LLC. I probably was a PLLC would be my guess. But maybe he does have a corporation. He's got a board. I don't know. But it's still his money. And as long as everybody that's supposed to know what happens is supposed to sign off on the exchange of funds, as long as it's all done according to the law, that money is his. He is the one that earned it. He is the one that generated that money. So he can access it whenever he wants to, but legally for your taxes and whatnot, you have to make sure that it's allocated properly. They were behind $400,000 in taxes. They were able to pay back half of that. Finances were not being handled properly. That sounds like it. I used to work for a guy who owned business in the business, paid him monthly for the lease, but it was his business, but the owner was broke. It's a tax shelter type of thing. Yeah. So Elon Musk, I think Elon Musk he's been unemployed for like 10, 12, 15 years. So how does he live if he doesn't get paid? Tesla is his, okay? But how does he get paid? Well, he goes to the bank. This is wonky. He goes to the bank. He takes out a loan. The reason he can take out a loan is because he is Tesla and he's, the whole rocket stuff. And, he's got a lot of different businesses, right? So the bank says, well, sure, Elon, you're the, the richest man in the world. We'll be happy to give you a loan. How much do you think you need for the next year? Well, I think I need $1.5 million. And they say, sure, you're worth billions and billions, 1.5 million in a loan, no problem. He takes out the loan. It'll have taxes and whatnot, interest added to it. And then over the year, the company makes the payments back to the bank with interest. But in the meantime, he's got $1.5 million sitting in his personal account that he can use, but it's loan money. It's a personal loan. It's not counted as capital gains. It is not counted as income. So he hasn't had an income in years and years and years. And this is perfectly legal for him to do. It's weird. But that is how, when you hear people complaining that the uber wealthy don't pay their fair share taxes, this is the tactic that they're using. This is what they're talking about. If with capital gains, you are making money, but you're making money off of money that's already been taxed. That's your money that you've invested. And then if you can sell it for more than what you gave for it, then you get that additional money back. But you should only be taxed on the increase, not the existing principal that you used to buy in. Because that money was already taxed. There's no reason. So if you have the capital gains, you have something of value, you sell it for more than you paid for it, and then you pocket a lot of money. It's still not an income, but you do have to pay the taxes on the amount that the value increased. And a lot of wealthy people will do that. They'll just buy and sell land and stuff for their living expenses. But that's the uber wealthy. And I'm not sure he was the uber wealthy, was he? It's like $7 million, $8 million. So he's not really the uber wealthy. He's got a lot of that much. How much? Here's another question. How much of that $8 million is his practice in Manhattan? That may be, he may own the apartment where his office is. He might be able to sell that for a couple of $1 million. You don't know. He'll probably sell the company and all of the clients that he has. It's like when a doctor gets ready to retire and they want to sell their practice. What they're actually selling, they're selling all of the patients that are coming to them for care. It now just rolls over to the other doctor, becomes their doctor. So some of this very, confusing, but the main thing is this: where's the money? Why was there not enough cash somewhere in some bank account, or that his company is able to write a check to the daughter after only a month? I guess less than a month, right? So I don't know, but I think it's very strange. I think it's curious. It sort of makes you go, gosh, Rex, what were you spending all your money on, big guy? So no doubt the survivors' families are probably going after his estate. They should. They absolutely should. I think the family's making a mistake complaining and worried about the house instead of worrying about the victims' families. It's bad optics, isn't it? And that's what I was thinking when I was listening to the press conference. I kept thinking, why are you complaining about your house being a mess? Everybody can already see it's messy anyway, before the cops showed up. Why are you complaining about this? The plumber will spend 2 hours in your house and have all of those little catch drains replaced. No, $500, $600, $700, you're done. It's easy fix. Then you got you've got your tub. You got to buy a new tub and get that added. You got to work on your drywall, I guess. But why are you focusing on that? Like somehow you are the victim of the police. You're definitely the victim of Rex, but you're acting like you're the victim of the police. You're acting like you're angry with the police. Why aren't you thinking about those families whose loved ones were annihilated? It's bad optics, very bad optics. And I'm a little surprised that these attorneys did this, because it's going to cause bad blood. It's going to make people, instead of making people want to align with Asa and help them, it's going to make people turn against them and say, gosh, what are you talking about? I'm sorry they did that to your house. They should not have. You're in your right, and you should file a lawsuit so that you can get the money back that you're going to have to invest in getting the inside cleaned up. But as soon as you guys start showing pictures, a lot of attorneys for the city, they're going to be able to say, hey, wait a minute. This wasn't only the search. This house was in disrepair. We see the outside of it. We can see the inside of it from pictures that were posted on Facebook. You're misleading people, you know. Now, are they about to try to put up a GoFundMe? Maybe. So, but I got to tell you, I'm much more likely, and you guys may think I'm a bad person or whatever, but I would be much more likely to want to give my money to the family of Shannon Gilbert or any of the other, you know. But maybe am I in the wrong about that? I don't know. I'm going to have to think about this. How many of you feel like this was a bad move, that the attorneys should not have done a press conference? There's already a GoFundMe? Really? How much money? I don't know how to feel either, Elizabeth. I'm really struggling with this because I certainly can. I mean, I just can't even imagine. You just come home one day and they say your husband's a serial killer. I mean, how do you make sense of that? But attacking the police, ooh, it's not good. Not good. There's 37,000. Interesting. Well, good. That's good. Definitely the kids need some help. I would definitely try to get these kids, both Victoria and Christopher, I would definitely try to get them into therapy as soon as possible. Because this is going to be a circus. They're going to learn things about their dad that no kid should ever know about their parent. It's going to be tragic. It's so horribly tragic all the way around. It's terrible. All right. So one more time, here is the link to Pascal's show. That's the show with the press conference. He does see this a little bit differently than I do. I talked about something different, a different aspect than what he will talk about. So I do hope that you guys will go over and watch his show and subscribe. He is one of my go-to favorites. And let me say this too. 1 minute. On the community page, I posted a recipe by Critters for chicken pot pie. It is, well, it's the best recipe I've ever had for chicken pot pie. So if you don't know what you want to cook, it's easy. It is delicious. I can't tell you how delicious. Okay. So that is on the community post for any of you that say, I don't know what I'm going to cook this weekend. You should give it a try. It is really, really, she's actually a great cook. I'm always putting, like, if she cooks something and then I cook it and I try it, or Bill cooks it, then I always post it on the community, and but really and truly, the chicken pot pie, when I took a bite of it, I was like, holy hell, this is amazing. So it's there. I make her Alfredo sauce. Yes. Did you do her the shrimp and grits? Oh, it was so good. She is such a good cook. She's one of our mods here. So if you like to cook, or you're trying to come up with an idea for what to cook, or if your name is Michelle and Barack Obama, and you just need an easy recipe that you can cook yourself, since I hear that your chef met a bitter end, then you could try it too, because it's quite yummy, Barack. All right. Y'all have a wonderful Friday night. I did get an invitation to go on panel to talk about the Rex Heuermann, the LISK Gilgo 4 murders. I haven't been there since I got the invitation, so I'm not sure if we're still doing it. But if we are, I'll be there tonight. So I hope you guys will be there. All right. Okay. I can't think anything else. If I'm forgetting something, I'll go live tomorrow and, we'll talk about it then, but I kind of think I've covered it all. You know what I mean? Hit the thumbs up. I'm trying to get the algorithm to notice me, and subscribe if you want to get my notifications. And other than that, y'all have a damn fine Friday night.